Their debut album, After the Rain, spent an incredible 64 weeks on the American album charts. Mr. Matthew Nelson of the band Nelson. Matthew, it's been a long time, my friend.
It sure has. How you doing? I'm still alive. I know you are too.
Yeah, barely. Yeah, I'm just really excited to talk to you, Matthew. I've been doing radio for about the past 20 years, and I started on an oldies format radio station, and I can only imagine what an incredible childhood you must have had with your brother and your amazingly talented musical family, and that great musical bond that you guys had. Tell me about that.
Well, coming from the family that I do, I mean, for those folks that don't know, Ozzie and Harriet were my grandparents. My dad was Ricky Nelson, and, for us, the through line, I mean, they were, of course, tremendously successful as, entertainers for all their lives, but, Ozzie and Harriet really started in the big band era with music. Ozzie was a band leader. They toured for 14 years. They had, Ozzie had a #1 record in 1935. With a song called And Then Some. He hired Harriet Hilliard as his singer. She was the first female singer featured in a big band ever. Broke some ground there, but they fell in love, and they were funny together. It kind of translated to a radio gig that was really popular. They did a movie called Here Come the Nelsons to see if they'd work on the screen. It was a big hit. Television, 1952 to 1966, the longest-running live-action sitcom in TV history with 435 episodes of our family playing themselves on television. Scripted show, not a reality show, but the reality part was they were a real family. Obviously, kind of, grew up in America's living rooms. In 1957, our dad, Ricky, started singing on the show at the end of the episodes from time to time and exploded as a rock and roll idol.
And Matthew, how did you guys get signed to Geffen Records? Because I know it was kind of tough getting signed, but once you guys did get signed, it was like solid gold for you guys.
Not even then. I'll be honest with you. We worked really hard to get signed to Geffen Records, which was the power label at the time. The inner workings were very interesting. David Geffen, a billionaire entrepreneur, kind of came up in the whole Southern California country rock thing with the Eagles and bands like that. And Asylum Records. He formed Geffen Records, and he hired 3 of the most unbelievably talented yet egotistical A&R people, which stands for Artist and Repertoire, in the business. Gary Gersh, Tom Zutaut, and John Kolodner. John Kolodner was the guy we wanted. He was in charge of bands like Aerosmith and Cher and Elton John, then Whitesnake and us. And what I loved about John was he was a song guy. But what David Geffen did was he made all of these guys in his own label compete with each other as to who would have the biggest band. And, within Geffen, at the time, you had Guns N' Roses. You had Peter Gabriel. You had these unbelievable powerhouse acts. And Gunnar and I, here we are, kind of, guys that wrote songs and played clubs and all that, but we always knew what we wanted to do, and we never really wanted to fit in with what was happening. We wanted to be our own thing. And if you could put it into a category, it'd be like Rick Nelson's Stone Canyon Band meets the heavy metal Hollies, and with twin harmonies. And Kolodner actually saw that as something that could probably hit, but it took literally 2 solid years of meetings and, the I don't knows and we'll see, make some more demos. Finally, Gunnar and I were down to the last $17 in our pocket, and we shared a bank account at the time and a car, and we went into the label with our acoustic guitars and a song we'd just written. And they were furious that we were doing it. We literally said, listen, we're not going to be able to eat tomorrow, so if we don't get a deal, well, I want to be able to say that we at least, went out trying. I'll never forget the look in his office on his face, We kind of broke in and he said, look, you're going to sit down and listen to this. And he smiled, and then he picked up the phone and literally called Business Affairs and said, we're going on the Nelson deal. Let's go.
And Matthew, I've heard different stories about the song Love and Affection. I'm a drummer myself, so when that song came out when I was a kid, listening to you guys on Pirate Radio here in Los Angeles, I love that track. And is that tune really about a crush you had on supermodel Cindy Crawford, or is that just made up?
No, it actually, I actually thought she was awfully cute. I had some pictures up for inspiration and stuff like that, and it's funny, my wife now is like a cute version of Cindy Crawford, so I'm happy about that. But I was actually kind of zoning out on one of her pictures, and I was playing a figure on my 12-string guitar, and my brother came in from the other room saying, what is that? What is that? And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, that thing you were playing just now. And I said, I don't even know. I was just kind of playing something. And he held up a little, you remember micro cassette recorders? He held one up that he had in his hand. He said, well, I'm glad I recorded it. And it was actually the 12-string figure that starts off, Can't Live Without Your Love and Affection. That song kind of unfolded from there, and it's funny. It's like it made it into one of the top songs of the era, in the countdowns and stuff. But I think the funniest part is if you listen to it now, it really is kind of like the ultimate stalker song, which I love. And The funny thing is, 6 months after the song hit #1, Gunnar and I were at an MTV Rock and Jock softball game, and Cindy Crawford was on my team. We kind of hit it off. She's a very sweet lady, actually. Happy for her, for her success on the telemarketing, field.
Yes.
But she's,
yes.
Yeah, exactly. But it was kind of neat that kind of happened for us, and it just goes to show you just never know. But sometimes it starts just with a guitar figure. And you said you're a drummer. I think what people don't know is that song in particular almost wound up on the cutting room floor when we actually cut it for real. It just didn't translate. We were not happy with it, and the mix just wasn't right. And Gunnar and I went back into the studio, tried another mix engineer named David Holman. He wound up doing Bush and No Doubt after us. But we had worked with him on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on the title song called Two Heads Are Better Than One. We actually re-recorded 3/4 of that song, including the drums, which actually Gunnar played.
So Mark Tanner, did he help you guys out on that next single, After the Rain, or did he just really just engineer and produce it?
No, actually, Mark didn't actually engineer it. Mark produced. David Thoner engineered. Mark was really good as far as a parts guy and a songwriter. Mm-hmm. With the song After the Rain, Dave Thoner, that's one of his mixes. To Mark, he did a great job on the album, and he was a real believer. I think he went on to work with people like Sean Colvin and stuff like that.
And so, Matthew, are you and your brother working on some brand new material together, or are you guys just working on solo projects? What are you guys doing these days?
Well, we do a lot of different things. I mean, Gunnar and I have 4 different live shows that we do currently. One, of course, is Nelson, our rock band, which we do very few shows a year with that. Another thing is called Scrap Metal, which is a conglomeration of 80s and early 90s lead singers of all those bands that were all on MTV in one band. And we all sing our 3 or 4 monster hits, rip each other up, and have a good time. We do a show for our father, a celebration called Ricky Nelson Remembered, where we go through his entire timeline with video and song. That's a lot of fun. It's kind of going back to our roots. Gunnar and I have a new kind of a country rock trip that we're doing. Lately the first thing we're actually going to do is kind of a bridge project. Actually, is a country flavored Christmas album that is coming out on November 20th. As I'm speaking with you, I'm the art director for our label. I'm actually doing the art right now with our artist Chris Harless, and I'm putting together the packaging. It's going to be sent to production today to hit the stores. So we're really excited about that because it's probably the best thing that we've done in 10 years or so.
Well, Matthew, that sounds awesome. Can't wait to see you guys live at the Coach House in San Juan Capistrano on November 20th. For more information on the band Nelson, it can be found at MatthewandGunnarNelson.com. Mr. Matthew Nelson of the band Nelson, thank you so very much. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm really excited to hit Southern California again. We're bringing our Christmas show, which is, I forgot about another one that we're bringing to the Coach House. This is going to be a lot of fun because we are actually really promoting this album, and we've brought an all-star lineup of virtuoso players. And all I can say is you can imagine the Everly Brothers and Crosby, Stills and Nash doing a Christmas album. That's what it is, and it's really cool music, and I'm excited to play it for you.